Behind the Counter is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature. For a free audiobook of your choosing, go to audiblepodcast.com/Andrew. And by Stitcher Radio. Listen on the go via the Stitcher mobile app. For more information, go to stitcher.com/GFQ. Hello and welcome everybody to another fantastic episode of Behind the Counter, your weekly host about pop culture and comic book entertainment. I'm your host, Rich Stambolin, and with me as always, NASA's very own Jonathan Adler.
Just came back. You always look up. I know you're looking at the camera.
I'm looking at the camera.
I know you're looking at the camera, but your eyes just seem to go straight towards the light. Like, I want to burn my eyes out by looking at this fluorescent lamp.
I'm like a fly. What's going on, man?
You know.
No, I don't.
Oh, that's a good question.
What's up?
Hold on, nothing, man. I told you before I started getting into Supernatural last night and plowed through 4 episodes.
Oh, that's right. And then that turned into us sending each other pictures of Martin Lawrence. Totally forgot about that.
And then it degraded into me sending you pictures of blackface, and then Eddie Murphy just up as a white guy.
Forgot about that. That was good. I forgot,
bro,
because I was looking at the last few texts that we sent, and I was like, "Oh, this is good stuff." Like Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx from In Living Color, Eddie Murphy, and I didn't scroll up, and then you were like, "I love Supernatural." So why do you love Supernatural?
Well, I've been on a kick the last few days. I watched pretty much every single episode of Kitchen Nightmare.
Okay,
in one sitting.
Gordon Ramsay.
It was really good. And it just happened to fall onto this big event with Kitchen Nightmare, which is now everywhere. And then I just you know what? I always hear nothing but good things about Supernatural. First, when we were working the store, we'd hear all the weird horror guys oh, you should watch a show about horror, 'cause it's horror. And we watch everything's horror, and kind of dismissed it. And I finally sat down and watched it, and it has one of the most fun and well put together pilots I've seen in a long time. It's so good. It's really, really enjoyable. And it's kind of...
Sell me on this, please.
It's kind of the two of them are really good. The two of them do have really good chemistry. They do a good job of making you give a crap about...
They're brothers, right?
They're brothers,
and,
yeah.
one of them's like a wolf man.
They're no.
One of them's like a frog man.
No, they're both monster hunters. They come from family business of monster hunters.
Okay.
And one wanted to get out of the business, and the father goes missing. The father is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who played comedian in Watchmen.
Okay.
And the way they just talk about monsters, everything has a classification. It's kind of BPRD in a way. The second episode is a Wendigo episode.
Really? That's interesting.
Anything that goes Wendigo that early into the show is pretty awesome.
I did catch one episode where they had to something with 2 feuding magicians. It was on for background noise. I don't know if you caught up to that. I feel it's been on forever too,
dude. I'm just watching the first few. I'm really taking my time with it. But there's 158 episodes, so there's no way I'm ever going to ever finish it. But then I heard that it really kind of lost its steam after the 4th season, so I'm going to go that far.
Were you a Buffy fan?
No. I appreciate it from afar. I watched a little bit of Angel.
Okay.
It's a little bit more doodly.
I got into Buffy really late. I didn't even bother catching up with the first episodes. I got sold on one episode where the guy she's in love with, that the government turned into a cyborg.
That's pretty cool.
Which is kind of cool stuff. And the guy was he had half the cyborg arm and really crappy Terminator 2 makeup and shit to fight Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Did you get into Buffy because of the movie and then find out what a totally different series it was?
No. I stayed away from everything.
I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Paul Rubens is a vampire.
But yeah, and what's her name too? Who played Buffy? I forgot her name. But she was I liked her too. She was kind of one of the a weird 90s sex symbol for a day,
That's who it was. Chat room, help us out. And Luke Perry.
And Luke Perry was in it. If any, who played Buffy in the movie, guys? In the Buffy Vampire Slayer movie.
Use your powers.
Of being on the internet. We're on the internet right now.
Speaking of TV, they premiered the S.H.I.E.L.D. trailer this week.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, of course.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too. I like how Coulson's back, but I'm a little disappointed that it kind of put the kibosh on the rumors that he was going to be the Vision.
That wasn't a rumor. That was my theory. That's I really wanted that to be.
That popped up in a few websites.
I think it's because of me.
Christy Swanson played Buffy in the movie.
Yes.
Christy Swanson. Who else does she do? That's it. Cool.
That's it. Show's over.
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, of course. Would I want to see him as an LMD and him become Vision? That'd be incredible. And it's such a good idea for it.
And he would be a great choice for Vision too, because he has like that
Fantastic.
face, like that creepy.
Yeah. Look, it first came from the guy doing the head bust of Coulson as Vision, and that's when like the whole thing developed of like a story, a story, and then I guess it steamrolled into a rumor. But it looks good. I mean, it's like, you have like a show like Arrow, which, I don't watch it. I have no desire to watch Arrow, neither do you. We're wrong about it, I guess. But
we never watched Smallville either.
Nope.
Which is honestly like very like years ago, I used to get really irritated when somebody was like, "Oh, you read comics? You watch Smallville?" It's like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying I'm above it, but I just never got into it.
I've gotten lambasted. We've both gotten lambasted for that. But
I never got into it.
This is a good opportunity for them to really corner that, those, the B players and the C players. Like, so there's a rumor going around with the show now that there's some mystery black dude who has like powers. So now every single black dude that has powers is being touted as being a rumor. So, but the leading one is that's Luke Cage. This is gonna be the introduction.
Okay.
Someone, I think MTV is the one that actually kind of dismissed that, because when they do the flipping pages on Marvel's thing. So one of the very first ones they show is Rage.
Okay.
So more likely it's gonna be Rage.
That's cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with Rage.
As long as they keep him as the 8-year-old boy who turns into a full-grown man, because that's the best part of Rage.
I don't think you're getting that. I imagine if they blow you away and they were like, it's actually Static.
Oh God, no more Static
from DC.
All they gotta do is make Static into Cyborg, and then the cycle's complete.
They got the rights from DC.
Oh boy.
I
think it looks good.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll watch it. I don't think it's gonna last because it's like it has like a little.
I don't know, man.
I think it lacks from the trailer. It lacks the
panache.
The panache and the seriousness
doesn't
of
matter.
The Marvel movies.
Look at what sci-fi fans and comic book fans attach them to for years. Things like Smallville and Arrow. This thing is pretty much.
I have been proven wrong.
A little bit of a higher quality. Me and you, I can know exactly what you're saying. It very much looks like that thing that looks halfway interesting. That's probably gonna get canceled in the first season. But it's got more ball behind it, and it's got a rampant, Josh Whedon following.
That's true.
He's got a hand in it. It's not. He's not. It's not Buffy where he's writing every episode, but I think it'll pick up a very strong fandom. Plus, Coulson has a massive following for whatever reason.
Big Tumblr following.
Yeah, huge, which is all that matters nowadays.
Yeah.
That's how Kid Loki got so far.
It's such. I was explaining that to my fiance the other day. We were watching Game of Thrones, and I was like, Jon Snow has like that weird following on Tumblr, and so does Loki, like Kid Loki. And there's a couple other characters too,
and mashing gay dudes together.
Yeah,
straight men as gay dudes.
Yeah, which is also, and like the transgender stuff too.
Oh, big time.
Which is pretty nuts. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just it's weird how people take like,
because it's not transgender. It's like Superman. No, it's like Wonder Woman with a huge sweaty dick.
Wanger. Yeah. That's a good one. What else happened this week? What do you think? I think we had Bleeding Cool put out a possible rumor about DC about how like Warner Brothers, there might be like a shift in
there is
a bit of a shift in temperature as far as the
new head of Warner Brothers. I was just reading this actually before I came over here. The new head of Warner Brothers, Kevin, name I can't pronounce, Sujihara, used to be the go-between between DC and Warner Brothers when it came to decision makings. And he kind of turned a blind eye, and that's how we got beautiful things like Vertigo and, like Identity Crisis and kind of like, the good days of DC. So now he's running Warner Brothers. When he lost that position is when we got the wonderful new 52 that we have right now.
Right.
So we may be seeing a beautiful time coming ahead.
That'd be awesome.
Where he actually says, okay, the corporate's going to take a step back. You guys go back to doing comic books, funny books.
Which would
be amazing.
It would be phenomenal. I was catching up on like a lot of my DC stuff over the week, and Green Arrow is actually
good.
It's leaps and bounds above a lot of stuff that they're putting out right now.
It's a really solid book.
And go ahead.
I really wish Jock was drawing that though.
Me too.
It's a really, like, whoever the artist is, the name escapes me. I was reading it actually the other day for the first time.
Yeah,
and they're great, but it's a book that's really is kind of designed for Jock.
Yeah,
Jacques.
They're making him a fancy Frenchman.
Jacques.
It's Arrows leaps and bounds above everything. I caught up with Action Comics, and like I think the last Grant Morrison issue struck such a weird chord with me, where I was like, he's saying, hey fans, don't be scared and don't worry, you're gonna get Superman will be back, and I think that was like the underlying message of the last couple of issues, where he's like, it's like the concept of like a properly done Superman is so much bigger than the idea is so much bigger than the production, that it will eventually, because it's so powerful, it'll eventually come back. Where like you're gonna get the red ass and underwear and tights and all that stuff.
I think so. Well, it's gonna always go back to that. No matter what changes they go through, they're always gonna go back to source material.
Yeah, but it's rather sooner than later would be kind of sweet.
Be really good. I mean, we're into 20. Like Batman's going to 21 now, so we're
it's almost 2 years.
It's just about 2 years. Depending on latenesses and stuff.
But with the Lemire Arrow, I really don't mind it if they kept Ollie young. That's like it's okay.
Fine,
now.
that's fine. Because he's writing it so well. It's just like we've said before. Green Arrow is a product of whoever is currently writing them. He's not someone that is really weighing his resting his laurels on like his vivid history.
Right.
It really depends on like Kevin Smith or Jeff Lemire, coming in and making that world like this.
Judd Winnick also, I think.
Yeah, no, Judd Winnick did a really good job too. Yeah. But I think if someone really steps in after Jeff Lemire and they're not of the caliber that he is. Young Ollie's gonna get really old real fast because he's not writing him as a young man.
No,
he's a young man, but he's telling a regular Green Arrow story.
Yeah,
with some hits of the past and all that. But just give him facial hair.
Yeah,
what's so wrong with that? The actor would look fine with a Van Dyke.
You need those dudes clean shaven now. You can't have
terrible. The guy's in tremendous shape. He can get away with a mustache and a soul patch.
Sweet as goatee. But I always felt like Ollie had like the big friggin' goatee.
Oh yeah, dude, he was way over the top with his goatee. I want the Van Dyke. I want like that dude looking like V for Vendetta. I want like some twisting and I want him to look like Snidely Whiplash, as opposed to just a guy with a goatee.
Yeah.
It's not happening anymore. It's awful.
But the last couple issues of Superman action I read, and
all right,
they're all right. It's like it really makes me kind of snarky when I have to stare at that costume, and I say it every episode. Like I just don't. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it. Take it back.
No, it seems with Batman they're going in the opposite direction where they're choosing not to draw all the segmentation on his armor and stuff like that. Like you'll see it like in the boots and sometime in the gloves, but in like the overall body stocking crap that he's wearing, it's more turning into like the old school costume.
Yeah.
But Superman, like every time I see this dude, they like making it a point to like make this guy look like a robot, like make his body look like a robot.
And the costume comes out from the shield, the S shield. Yeah. Now, like on his chest.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. Why?
Because
Tell me why.
Stupid. It's just it's an unnecessary addition to a guy that is already has all stuff going from that guy magic costume.
Yeah.
So that was Flash's deal.
Right.
Like you had the Green Lantern that dude made his own costume. Batman, he put that crap on, one boot at a time, just like Superman. Flash, that crap came out of his ring. It was awesome. Yeah. And now they kind of took that away too. But don't give Superman a robot costume.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's like the fact he's wearing armor is stupid. I'm dealing with that enough in Hulk. But the Hulk thing makes sense.
Right.
To protect Banner and all that stuff. But come on, man. You don't like the costume? Don't play devil's advocate with me.
No, I don't. But I just think it's a weird thing that they write in the fact that this guy's arguably the fastest person on Earth. And he has like a slimy costume that just slowly goes over his body. Whereas like, this guy could fly into a phone booth and like half a second later, he's like, I'm in a costume. My clothes are safely at home.
For that. Yeah.
I literally flew into my house and put my clothes in my dresser, changed, took a dump, and it's been half a second. And show up and laser heat vision the crap out of everybody's head. I want to see that. I want to see an episode, an issue of Superman that gets past the editors where he just is dreaming the entire episode, the entire book is a dream, and he just laser beams every single person he knows.
I would read the crap out of that book.
Batman, you're still sad about your parents. Not really much major stuff happened this week.
No, I'm looking over
major stuff.
No, it's been it wasn't that big of a book week either, but I think they're kind of gearing up towards Comic-Con. The most part, saving all their stuff. Like Marvel has been teasing a lot of what's coming up for the summertime. Yeah, we're getting Infinity, which I don't know how. Like I don't know even what this is being produced out of for the most part. We've seen the seeds in like new Avengers and Avengers, but it seemed like this is going to cover so much ground.
Yeah,
because they're pulling from like Age of Ultron. That was a big thing today, that there was some epilogue book that was coming out after Age of Ultron wraps up.
Right.
Age of Ultron number 10 UC is what it's called. Now it's been officially changed to Hunger. Okay. And this is the official epilogue that's going to be leading into Infinity.
And Angela.
Well, yeah, and Guardians of the Galaxy is going to start up with Neil Gaiman writing pretty soon.
Right, yeah.
Like 2 months, 3 months. August.
I like the cover of Infinity is really cool, like the Adam Kubert stuff. But it's because Age of Ultron is a wacky story. And number 8 came out this week. Yeah. So this is the fallout of
time travel.
Wolverine going back in time, which I really want to talk about. Like this dude, you wouldn't think about it from like a character perspective. Well, Wolverine, like I love Wolverine. When you think about it, this dude has time traveled his ass off.
Oh yeah,
for the past like who knows how many years, since Days of Future Past. This guy is no stranger to time travel.
Well, look at like it's interesting you bring that up too, because number one, we talked about this before we came on the air, but it's also the fact that when I was reading the plethora of like Wolverine stuff that's been coming out recently, the dude's like an Avenger now.
Right.
Guy runs a school. He's doing a ton, like you said, a ton of time traveling, especially within this 1 month.
Yep.
He's done the Old Man Logan thing. This is a guy who started out way back in the day as like the angry rebel.
Right.
Who was just like, snake bub, like, smoking cigarettes.
I want to take down the Hulk for the government.
I'll possibly rape you. And like, like he was a dangerous guy. And now he's like charged with taking care of kids. And, something like Age of Ultron, which is so unusual that this guy is kind of like, it's totally an Avenger story.
Yeah.
And it's an alternate reality Avenger story. And he is now the main character alongside Sue Storm, which is a weird place to have the narrative.
Yeah.
It's really unusual.
Yeah, because well, this is also the second issue dealing with that, and like we don't know where they basically screwed up everything by going back in time and killing Hank Pym. And this issue, I really like the issue because I feel like there's something weird with that continuity's version of Wolverine.
Yeah,
where like he's like kind of like it seems like he's in therapy.
Yeah,
with
the one that's in the one that's from Age of Ultron, or the one in the new universe?
The Age of Ultron Wolverine, with the brown costume.
Well, because he had that speech to the other Wolverine,
right?
Like, take care of your lady.
No. Well, he like Emma Frost was like, like doctor's orders, like listen to your doctor, like don't get too upset. And he's like, he gives him like a weird look, like, I wish it was like you, bub.
He's got a heart problem.
So
got high cholesterol now.
But the whole issue is an interrogation between Wolverine, for the most part, and Tony Stark, who was ripped in half.
Who looks awful.
And I like this story because it started out as something. It started out one way,
very specific,
where it's like Ultron's here. This and this happened. How do we get out of it? Well, Wolverine's gonna screw it all up. And then in this future, it's Iron Man yelling about Morgan Le Fay and about how he's been fighting magic for 20 years.
The Morgan Le Fay thing is like. Whenever they choose to use Morgan Le Fay as a bad guy, and that's not a King Arthur storyline, it's always unusual. And the fact that she won the Asgard Latveria War,
right,
and now commands an army of like Doombots with like crazy Asgard horns,
like Viking Doombots,
and they're awesome looking.
Yeah.
But it's the cues of the storyline and where it's going is just like very weird, especially since it's a storyline that Bendis kind of put together, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. That's supposed to come out. Now it's being released now. And it's so weird. It's also very Bendis. Like you've read enough Bendis big crossovers to know how the beats go and how the storyline goes. And usually, like the first one's incredible, and then the second one's kind of the fallout of the incredible thing, and then it kind of like meanders and then picks up again.
Incredible.
Yeah. And we're about to hit the incredible like finish,
the big ending. Yeah.
And just to have like the focus on the Wolverine and all this stuff, and like. And apparently this is going to be a big thing with Wolverine after this, because apparently all his time travel is going to hurt his healing factor.
Right.
And this is why we have, like in Wolverine and the X-Men, the gray-haired Wolverine at that point, 25 years after.
Because he actually is aging.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because, number one, about Age of Ultron, then we'll go into Wolverine and the X-Men. It's, I said it at the beginning of the story where, like, I'm glad Marvel isn't doing so many tie-ins and, like, miniseries.
Yes.
But after reading the last couple issues,
you want that.
I want the alternate universe. Like I want a Defenders book, like the Age of Ultron Defenders book. I want to see what happened. I want to see how Cyclops lost his eye.
Why do you enjoy them so much?
because it's something completely different, and also like I think I told you like I want all those action figures.
That's the part I was trying to get you to get out because they visually are really awesome looking.
Yeah. I want my Colonel America.
Colonel America, absolutely, and definitely like the Cable Cyclops is incredible looking.
It's ridiculous. Like they're like the character designs are ridiculous, and like Tony Stark being like this crazy, pale overlord trying to fight a magic demon from the helicarrier.
Bizarre story, man.
It's a great story,
and you're not even seeing what's going on in the other universe.
No,
because you have, unless that's all been wiped out now.
I think it has.
I think that's what I was going for.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get the ending of like a slight tweak, but where's the weight of the story? That's what I'm waiting for.
That's the whole. That's the unusual aspect of it because now they're really in the beginning of it. They're like, oh, this is gonna be a really pretty unique storyline. We're gonna do this thing, and you don't have to read all these books to worry about it. And then now they're saying that the weight is really gonna come in big time when it comes to the end of the storyline and what the ramifications are gonna be. So I don't even know where they're going at this point because it's all these different turns and blah blah blah. Blah blah.
Wolverine and the X-Men, really great issue. You were saying that like this was your issue of the week, right?
Yes. This was my book of the week.
Your book of the week, sorry.
Yes. Which the issue of the week you said?
Tell me why I did.
I'll tell you why I think this is the best book of the week. Solid book. Again, this also deals with Wolverine and some degree of time travel. It's got a great little monologue from Wolverine in the beginning, talking to his student body while they bury a time capsule, and him saying like, "Oh, I've done this 100 times. I'm always like talking. I'm in a suit, and I'm hot, and I shouldn't be in a suit, and
I'm rambling.
I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer." But then it goes 25 years in the future and does one of those beautiful things that it's kind of showing its hand in terms of storylines yet to come in the book, and tease like aspects of like the Hellfire Academy and all that stuff. But the best part was the iBoy.
Yeah, it became Iron Man.
Yeah, it became Iron Man. He's in like a gigantic sentinel head watching over everyone. He has a ridiculous like weird Venom costume.
I like the space outfit.
He goes out in space with two guns and like his body covered in red eyes. That was incredible. Like that's a good little like just bit of taking like a real Link character and just really do some cool stuff with it.
I also liked how he tied in Jason Aaron tied in the Thor stuff where now it's like all Father Thor.
Yeah.
So like that's a weird continuity that could be explored at a certain time.
Oh hell yeah.
Which I really want to go back to.
Oh hell yeah.
And again, it's Wolverine with like the weird time stuff, man, and like possible alternate futures. Well, this issue had a big thing in it where this is like after his fight with his brother Dog. And they raid his stuff and they find like an impenetrable box, and Wolverine doesn't know what's in it. But future Wolverine
has the key to it.
Sends it back in time because he's not allowed to go back in time in this anymore.
Right.
Because then like Jason Aaron wrote it in there. There was like you are an extreme violator of the time stream.
Sounds so filthy.
And then he opens it and it's like a little boat that he had with his brother when he was a kid. It was kind of nice. It was like a heartwarming story.
No, and then also you have on the precipice of like this big like Hellfire stuff. Like, which is the next big storyline of a Mystique and Sabretooth opening up their own school along with Dog Logan. And it was also cool that it's always one of those things that they do with the future where they start naming kids. So they had like Quentin Quire's kid.
Yeah. Summer Gray. They had
Kitty Pryde and Iceman's kid, who's like a phasing Iceman. This is happening.
Awesome. Yeah.
Ghost Ice.
One of my favorite bits in that issue was when Wolverine's giving his speech. Iceman's like, "This is one of my doubles. I've been asleep in my office the entire time."
Yeah.
I like a little playful X-Men stuff like that. It's always like kind of my favorite X-Men books. It's like their interaction as a family has always been one of my favorite things about them. Ultimate Spidey was awesome this week as well.
Great book. Absolutely great book.
And it was the flash forward. What's weird about it is that he's 13 in the last
now
issue.
He's 18.
Now he's 14.
Yeah,
but he looks like he's 18.
I mean, kids grow up fast.
Yeah,
especially in the Marvel universe.
That's true.
Look at Franklin Richards and Valeria.
Well, Franklin Richards has always been like
perpetually a toddler, and now he's just getting a little bit older.
You know what? Like, but he floats between that. He floats between toddler and 12, like his entire existence.
Yeah, as he should.
And
it's whatever suits the storyline.
It's true. I like adult Franklin to come back every so often too.
Who?
Adult Franklin.
Oh, he's awesome.
My favorite version of that was Earth X, where he was Galactus.
That was my favorite one, and also when he what was that storyline called? It was about Ahab, and he came back wearing like an M jumpsuit, like a mutant jumpsuit, and he was like talking about how he was like hooking up with Rachel Gray and all that stuff, and he was just
sweet,
he was
bro.
Cool, yeah, sweet dude,
sweet bro. Ultimate Spidey, another Bendis book. Bendis has been going. I feel like this book is his baby.
Yeah, this is I think the book that, even though it's a different character at this point, is still very much an Ultimate Spider-Man book. It has a certain feel to it. It has a certain spirit that's kind of been maintained through it. It's a great book at doing cliffhangers. It's a great book at really stacking the odds against a kid and the authorities, and there's like this very like fragile tapestry that that Bendis kind of builds with like the Spider-Man universe, and it does a very good job with a pretty much new character.
Now, would you want to see him in the regular Marvel universe?
No.
I would.
No, I hate that.
Why?
I don't. I really. I may be the last person on earth that does this, but I really am for whatever reason, I'm a strong believer that the Ultimate Universe should be the Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
And should never have to interact with anything. It's not something that's in the multiverse. I don't like when they create a new character and then plop it into the Marvel Universe. As much as I liked the Ultimate Spider-Man crossover, I think it was great. Which I thought was gonna be awful. I hated when they started crossing over the Supreme Power stuff with Ultimates for no reason at all.
Yeah.
I just don't. I like the just a little ability that he's in this one universe.
But I feel like he's gonna be the last guy in that universe.
He's gonna show up. Yeah. They're gonna do something big with the Ultimate Universe pretty soon.
Okay. Like a relaunch or like a reboot of it, because it's so decimated at this point that
I think Thanos is gonna show up and blow him away.
Okay. Like actually, like that's going to be Legacy. Not Legacy. That's going to be Infinity.
Well, have you been reading the Ultimates recently? All right, so like for whatever reason, I still keep up with it. It's not bad. It's not a bad book. It's very interesting.
I lost it after President Captain America.
It's gotten better from that storyline. It's just a weird book. At this point in the storyline, they're all collecting Infinity Gems.
Okay.
So apparently, this is being called Ultimates Disassembled. Apparently, they're leading into some type of weirdo event that may have them all wiped out.
Okay.
They might be, because the Ultimate line is doing terribly.
No, yeah. I mean,
even Ultimate Spider-Man is not doing anything at this point.
Yeah. But which is why I think that he's a good candidate for being like kind of reworked in, and then the end of it. Because there's at this point, you don't have that big universe like you used to have. And the story's kind of like, apart from Ultimate Spidey, which is really self-contained.
Yeah.
The other stuff is just kind of like floating out in the ether.
It was that friggin' Jeff Loeb thing, man. It was that tidal wave stuff when they just wiped off half the cast and started like really, and it also became too close to the regular universe.
Right.
They really tried too hard to make it, aesthetically match the original product.
Yeah,
not cool.
I completely agree with that. But you also went from a lot of heavy hitters in the Ultimate world writing to maybe it's like now it's Bendis and like a couple other guys. I think Yost is doing Ultimate Wolverine. Right about that?
What's his name? Bunn is doing that.
Okay. And we're just like the first run of like this volume of Ultimates was all Hickman.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was really, really awesome, like well crafted stuff. And then it kind of like it lost me a lot with the President Captain America and like that weird like divided we fall stuff with America dying and him putting it back together in like one issue.
And it's still going on.
Right.
Like the Ultimate comic, the Ultimate X-Men stuff is actually pretty damn good because it's Brian Wood doing it, and it's a good like weird rebellious mutant thing. But yeah, it doesn't even resemble what the original thing was. Like I loved. Remember when you first read like Ultimate X-Men and you saw like the thing that always comes to mind, like the Jean Grey sleeping with Wolverine first.
Yes.
And then like my favorite Ultimate X-Men moment is like Wolverine Cyclops. Jean Grey's with Cyclops' point. Wolverine's heartbroken,
right?
And Cyclops and Wolverine go on that mission, and like the ground's falling apart, and Wolverine goes to help Cyclops up, and he just looks at him, he looks around, and he lets him go, and he makes him drop into a hole like he seemed dead.
Yeah,
and it was awesome. I was like, this is such a far cry from what you're used to.
That original run was phenomenal.
Yeah, and with Spider-Man, you never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
it really like you knew like they weren't going to kill off Spider-Man, but they eventually did. And it was like really a tense book. Yeah. I was really solidly into that.
It was, like Ultimate Spidey, but like pre-new Ultimate Spidey was Like I always like the biggest. I feel like that was like the biggest hit of the Ultimate line. Where
Hell
like
yeah, by far.
you wanted that book to come out every single week because it was so gripping. And like when they started the universe too, like I loved the first 2 volumes of Ultimates.
Well, I read Ultimate Spider-Man legitimately was the book that got me back into comics when I left.
Okay.
Like Wolverine Origins to one degree, but like I was in college, there was nothing to do, and for whatever reason, Marvel.com before digital comics put up every single issue up to date of Ultimate Spider-Man. I sat down on a weekend and I read I couldn't believe how good it was.
Yeah.
Because the Bendis wasn't a name yet. You know,
Right.
and it was being advertised like a kid's book.
Yeah.
Like if you looked at the covers for Ultimate X-Men or Ultimate Spider-Man, they were so generic.
That's why I stayed away from them at first.
Yeah.
And then like I went right for Ultimates because that was like, because they labeled that as like more of an adult take on like a big cinematic take on the Avengers. And then eventually when I got after maybe like 10 or so issues, I got into Ultimate Spidey and was like, this is phenomenal. And then like with Ultimate X-Men 2, like I caught up with it completely.
Wasn't that a weird thing that they always used to do with Spider-Man, like with the Ultimate books? And for a while, Ultimate X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man, they had covers that never reflected anything that went inside. It was always some generic, like Spidey pose, or, you know, it could be the craziest thing where like Aunt May's getting her head ripped off inside the book. It'll be like Spider-Man on a bridge, like,
For the first few issues of like every, like except for the Ultimates for Wolverine, for X-Men and Spider-Man, it was like that static pose of like,
it was like weird ad hoc
stuff. Yeah.
It was like the stuff you'd see like in like a weird like greeting card for like Marvel in the 90s.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. Greeting cards now have those terrible images on it.
Like Wolverine smiling, doing stuff like, I don't got claws.
Well, I think the cover of the first one was him with like that costume running.
Him running in an alleyway and making sparks.
Yeah.
I never forgot that. And I was like, this is going to be a piece of garbage.
And
this is why I'm not reading comic books.
But
it's freaking Mark Miller doing X-Men.
Yep. Turned out to be
the same thing with Bendis. It was like, who the heck? Like I don't want to read about Spider-Man's origin again.
See, because sometimes you
like
never
look at
know.
Norman Osborn. What's wrong with his hair? Nothing.
Yeah, normal. That's the interesting thing about like some comics where like they end up having long runs. You never know. When Kevin Smith took over Daredevil and they did the whole relaunch after like whatever. I forgot what story that they were. It was like Daredevil hadn't been around for a couple of months.
When they brought him back, it was the Mysterio storyline.
No, before that. Like,
that was it.
It was Karen Page dying or something.
It's all part of the same storyline. Yeah. The payoff was the Mysterio stuff. It was the Bullseye came back and the Spider-Man stuff.
Right.
And then, find out she has AIDS and
and then
she dies.
And then Kevin Smith came on and you're like, oh, Daredevil's back. This is awesome. Joe Quesada and Kevin Smith. But then Bendis took over Daredevil and it was
was it. Yeah.
Holy crap, game over, man. That was one of the best written Marvel books. And it was still under the Marvel Knights banner, I believe.
That was a wonderful time for comics, man.
Yeah.
That was like an absolutely great, because that was when everything kind of reignited. For DC and for Marvel, the competition was like at a high point where they were both going back and forth. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of new faces in the books that are still around now, who are now like the living legends.
Yeah, they're like dudes who are just like the go-to guys.
It was like when Johns came out of nowhere.
Yes.
Like Johns came out of nowhere and the guy completely reinvented DC by embracing the past.
The dude who's like back in the day, I shouldn't say back in the day, but like back in that time, he was the guy who made Flash readable again.
Hell yeah.
And like his Flash stuff was, I think like I liked it so much that I have like all the trades at home.
I think it's the greatest run of Flash I've ever read.
Yeah.
There's so much goes down, and he didn't so much reinvent Flash, but he did such an incredible job of every story arc really like holding you by the throat and like keeping you there. Like the Zoom stuff, all the Rogue stuff. The guy made like the Rogues completely like some of the greatest villains.
Yeah, he revitalized them.
Every aspect of his character.
And it also didn't hurt that he had Scott Collins doing the art and that like
so good.
That really interesting eclectic art style that fit with the book so perfectly.
Yeah, totally. That's half the selling point. I mean, the book kind of lost steam after Collins, was kind of, in the book.
And I remember like I was very upset that it came to an end. But then, you know what? Guess what?
Green Lantern.
He reignited Green Lantern.
Yeah, Green Lantern. Well, he was doing both. Like at the end of the Flash career, he was going into Green Lantern.
Yeah,
that's when Rebirth came out, and his JSA stuff was incredible too. Like all the JSA stuff, and like that's the thing that I know everyone's reading stuff, but that's the thing that boggles my mind is that this dude did such an incredible job and had such an emotional investment into those characters of the Golden Age, and even the Silver Age, like the Liberty Incorporated stuff, like the all that stuff, and it's not there in this world that he has more control than he's ever done in the history of comics.
It'll be back.
It has to be, but that Earth 2 is getting like weird critical, reviews. Like I read it still, and
You don't get it.
I don't know why. Like I don't know why. Like it's one of those things I choose to still indulge in.
Well, wasn't like the new thing, like the big reveal as to who Earth 2 Batman was.
They're introducing another Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They're like slowly they're introducing another Batman, which is I think they're gonna be doing like a Dick Grayson or something like
Damien.
that. Yeah, probably in the timing wise, it'll probably be like Damien in like a big suit.
See, I would like it if Damien died in regular DC and woke up in Earth 2 like DC.
Earth 2 sucks.
You know, well.
They introduced Dr. Fate. That was pretty cool. Storylines suck.
Mm-hmm.
The Magic storylines in DC suck. The only time I don't like, the only time I like the Magic storylines is if it's in Vertigo or Detective Chimp is in it.
Okay.
That's when I like Magic. Otherwise, their Magic stuff is so boring.
Yeah, because it's I don't know what it's based on, but no, I'll agree with you. What do you think is do you think anything is wrong with comics at this point? What would you do?
Is anything wrong with comics? Yeah. There's a lot wrong with comics.
What would you do?
I would have a Kevin Nash comic book.
Mm-hmm. Big Daddy Cool #1.
I would make believe like the last 2 years of DC never happened.
If you were Wolverine and you went to fix the past
of fixing the past
of comic books, what would you do?
I would have stopped the mass exodus of talent away from DC.
Mm-hmm.
I would stop the Dio's influence and just try and remind him he was a dude that really pushed for an identity crisis to happen and to embrace the past. Marvel, what can I say about Marvel? Like, stop.
Stop being so
stop
great.
putting out Fearless Defenders because I don't read about women.
Yeah.
Like, is that what you want? Is that what you want me to say?
That's what I want you to say.
Image doing great. Like, I friggin' like, dude, like, God, can have Valiant. Like, Valiant's doing incredible. Like, I would like to see Dark Horse get more money. If any company deserves money, like, but they might be in a good position because I heard they're merging with Dynamite.
Really?
So that, like, I don't like the guy who runs Dynamite at all because we used to deal with him all the time. Do you remember him?
No.
Nick, whatever his name. He was a Tommy guy.
Yeah?
Yeah, he sucked.
Yeah.
But it's more money for Dark Horse. And, like, Dark Horse is a company that's been chugging along and kind of, like, had those, like, the BPRD stuff and Conan to, like...
X.
And X is back, and it's awesome.
X is back, and you have, like, books like The Massive.
Ghost is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Massive Dark Horse?
Yeah.
Really?
I believe it is.
Could be.
But and also Image is doing phenomenal.
What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I pretty much would do the same thing. Like stop the creative exodus from DC and just like honestly turn around and do a Julie Schwartz and be like, look, like the guys up top want this a certain way, but we're gonna give it to them. We're gonna give it to them this way.
Yeah. Well, I think I think after this is all over with this new guy taking over Warner Brothers, I think we're just gonna start seeing, some changes overall, very quietly. And after everything's said and done, and the books have been written, I think the Dio's gonna say straight up like it was corporate, it was never me, and everyone's gonna push it. Like Bob Harris is gonna like run away again and like work for Malibu or something.
They're coming back, baby.
Prime.
Well, Marvel bought Malibu, right? That's the thing. They
have it. They still have the property.
They're sitting on it for what reason? There's too many Marvel books out there.
What are they gonna do with that book now? I mean, me and you were gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
If they brought, with the way that Valiant is like just pure top notch comics right now, I think Malibu could do the same way. But I don't know if there's anyone in the Marvel roster. You'd have to get like some new guys coming in. Yeah. You're not gonna get Jonathan Hickman doing a hard case book.
Yeah. I
love that crap.
All right, it
was good, man.
I know. Like all those books were good.
Freaks was great. Freaks was probably one of the best books of that era at that time.
And Prime was awesome. And
Prime was awesome.
Unity also. Am I thinking of the right thing?
The guy who was a girl.
Yeah, maybe.
Mantra.
Okay.
There was a dude who it was like a little. It was a guy.
I'm thinking of the titles.
Prime, Mantra, Hard Case. There was the other guy who was like Iron Man. Like Hardware or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they had the team. They had like the what was their team called? Ultra something.
Yeah, there's Ultra something, and the guy with a decomposed guy.
The Ghoul.
Yeah,
he was awesome.
Awesome too. Prime.
Prime was great.
Mark Miller and Ed McGuinness.
Ooh, no. I'll take you, Mark Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Frank.
Yeah. It'd be awesome.
Because that book is so visceral. Because it's like a little kid whose entire body is made of flesh that comes out of him.
Yeah.
Like when he goes into like 90s badass mode and becomes like a biker. And he's like American badass.
Yeah.
Manager is like what's his name on that book? Who's the guy doing Savage Wolverine?
Frank Cho.
Frank Cho in that book.
Yeah.
Have him turned his woman broad.
Woman broad. I again, you know what? You're right. Absolutely right. Like we're the only two guys who are like, oh, bring these guys back.
No, there's a lot of people who are saying they want like the Ultraverse stuff, and they also want to bring back Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
And that's what Age of Ultron is going to lead up to. They're actually opening a gateway to the Malibu universe and to the new universe. So you're going to get Mark Hazard Merc.
We're forgetting about the most important thing about Ultraverse too, Rune. Barry Windsor Smith, the sick ass vampire who eventually gets the Vinny Gauntlet.
That's true. Yeah, I really liked Rune.
Rune was awesome. Rune was one of the later books, and it was a really crazy, like weird. Because everyone was trying to do like cool vampires.
Yeah,
and he was the grossest.
He nailed it. I liked Rune a lot. And also, Marvel owns CrossGen too, right?
Yeah.
And those relaunches went nowhere.
Nope.
Which is a shame too, because you can't really. It's like, wow, what did they have that was modern?
They had a couple of them. Scion wasn't.
Scion was set in the past, and so was obviously the Sherlock Holmes book, which was a phenomenal book.
But it's not set in the past. It's set on different planets.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. It's like each of them is like a different. Like the Sherlock Holmes one was my favorite one. Ruse.
Yeah,
that was my favorite. That was Mark Waid doing that. What was the name of the team? Prototype was the other guy. He was the Iron Man guy.
Yes.
Prototype, Freaks, Firearm, Exiles. Before it was the Exiles. Codename Firearm. Codename Firearm.
So ridiculous.
Hard Case Mantra, the Nightman. Nightman got a TV show. Forgot about that.
And that suit looked terrible
Rune,
too.
Siren, Sludge. Remember Sludge?
Yeah.
Like the Swamp Thing guy made of oil. The Strangers. Ultra Force.
That was the one. Now on the other end, on DC side, you had franchises like the Milestone universe.
Yeah, but they're still milking off of that.
Like all black heroes.
Yeah.
And
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
It was.
The art was really, really great for hardware.
The art was awesome. The art was awesome on
the Icon?
Yes.
Icon was awesome. He was a Superman guy.
Yeah. There was another one. I think it was like a team book that the art was awesome on.
Static Shock came out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Hardware, Icon, and then there was a team book. They were like a weirdly. They were street team. They were like New Warriors, but all black.
I always wanted to call them a Tribe Called Quest because it was Tribe.
Oh, it was Tribe.
That was it. Yeah. And you also had that.
No, it wasn't Tribe. Tribe was the weirdo book from Image from the guy who used to draw X Factor with Peter David, who drew the really fat asses.
Yes.
And had like an all black. Larry Stroman. Thank you. He did the other one. I don't remember the other one.
Yeah.
That book sucked. I remember buying a ton of copies of Tribe. And I'm like, what is this? I'm a 13-year-old kid. I'm like, what is this weird story about race?
It's like the first time you got the Onyx album and you were like, why did I buy this?
No, I was like, yes. I broke my cherry on NWA. That was like the one that like put me over the edge.
And we also had books like Bloodhound and Hard Times that were like the sideways DC things.
And there was also that other great one. And it always just
Keepers. That was the Vertigo book.
Yeah, that was actually regular DC for whatever reason. They didn't put it under a Vertigo title, which is so weird for a title like that. But that was some good stuff. There was like this weird little like Vertigo happening that was like they translate into that weirdo like hard time stuff and.
It was like a pocket of like the mid 2000s.
They were trying to do. It was because of Unbreakable. Like they were somehow years later trying to And Heroes, I think, was a part of it also, was they were trying to make very realistic circumstances where superheroes could exist.
Right.
Remember that one story about the kid who had like was a debilitating disease where he couldn't move his bones?
Kinetic.
That was incredible too. And it was super short.
Yeah.
And he almost like screws his mom. And it was like, it was a lot.
I feel like that's what we're kind of missing now in comics, and we're getting that from Image in a weird way.
Yeah.
You're not getting it from the big two. You're getting it from Image. Is like Marvel also put out weird Marvel stuff too, like a few years ago. Like remember they did that 4 miniseries, which was just like with Gary Erskine, and it was like this mind blowing take on like what happened to them, and they were all like,
and which one? Oh, the 4?
Yeah,
I think it was incredible.
Yeah, and even the 12, I would put that in there.
Yeah, the 12, and it's good for companies to have. It's one thing for it to be Image because the problem I see Image having is they release so much stuff at this point. It almost becomes like I have no idea what to pick out of there because it's all new product.
Yeah.
It's good when you get DC or Marvel to have something that's kind of off kilter because it's got the big name banner, which unfortunately does help sell the book.
Yeah.
But it also gets something like where you can get Grant Morrison doing Sea Guy, which it's incredibly hard to sell. It's so out there, and
like
crazy.
We Three.
Yeah, We Three. Like you're not gonna get those products from a guy like Justin Hale Fialkov, because he's like been in the company for a year, and they're not saying like, okay, we're giving you a crazy deal. You're gonna do a crossover, and then you're gonna do these little pocket universes.
Yeah. Image is I feel like the one thing is like you don't have the when Image started, it was all in the same universe, So you had like Youngblood, Spawn,
Max
in the
Savage
same
Dragon,
like
Shadowhawk
kind of thing. But the Savage Dragon universe is regular Image.
Yes.
Like the Invincible has carried on that torch, and that's the Image universe.
Yeah.
Right.
And those guys will appear in his books.
Right. Exactly. Which is a beautiful thing. Like Astounding Wolfman and Super Dinosaur, whatever properties like the Kirkman stuff are like the canon Image universe things. And you have like the outside more indie stuff like Manhattan Projects, which is phenomenal. East of West, which is friggin' incredible.
You read it?
Yeah.
Isn't it like one of the best things that come out in a long time?
It really is because it's such a
visually,
unique
incredible.
story. Yeah. It's Dragotta and Hickman, right?
Yeah. Dragotta, like that dude is a weird artist. He's all over the place, but he is so tight in that book.
Yeah, and the story is like if you're out there, like pick up East of West. I think it's on like the fourth printing already.
Yeah.
Or third or fourth.
You'll have a trade paperback before you even know it.
And it starts out with the rebirth of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse who are kids and they're missing Death.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Death is like this pale cowboy with 2 6-shooters who lost his wife.
I think it's like 2 American Indians with him.
And it's a crazy future United States of America.
Which is like completely divided by like the very extreme elements. Like, you have a very, abolitionist type character.
Right.
And you have like the Indians and
the magic people.
The
people who worship the horsemen.
So awesome.
It's a really excellent
Death is
book.
your main character. What more can you ask
and
for?
he's like a good guy.
For the most part. So it's what we know so far.
That he wants his wife back. And like Joe Casey put out Sex, which is actually really...
It's a really good book.
It's a really good book. And like you can go on and on about Image. I think
all Joe Casey stuff is really good.
Jupiter's Children was Jupiter's Children, Jupiter's Legacy.
It was supposed to be called like Children. For whatever reason, before it got shipped, they changed the Legacy.
Okay. With Mark Miller and Frank Quitely. And the story is freaking phenomenal. It's really good stuff, And like sometimes you want to count Mark Miller out.
Yeah, because he had that really tough 2 years where it was just like a lot of garbage.
Like you weren't a big fan of
I'm not a fan of Nemesis.
Yeah.
I do not, and there's a sequel coming out. I really was not a fan. That was when he was really focused on Hollywood. But Jupiter's Legacy was really, really tight. I think more for the fact that seeing Frank Quitely on the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a story I've seen before, but it's
a great story.
Yeah, it's good. It's very, very good.
It's like adventurers basically want to find the unknown and they end up finding superpowers, and you still don't really know the complete origin, but like they end up getting superpowers. They become Depression era heroes, and they have the longevity to live until 2013. And the story focuses on their grandchildren, who are pieces of crap for the most part. And don't want to be heroes because their grandparents are still going at it. Really, really good stuff. I can't wait for issue number 2. But that's like a good example of like Image is destroying it right now with like the indie stuff. They're basically like new Vertigo. If you're like a comic fan and you remember like growing up with Vertigo and like you're getting stuff like Preacher and Sandman, Invisibles, and Constantine, like whatever awesome stuff was getting put out, like Image is the go-to for that right now. And it's all creator owned, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah. They really have a wealth of good creators behind them and also great ideas. It's just a matter of, I want to see something emerge from Image that's like probably with Saga, but another Wild Ass Man, another Preacher develop out of those that really have long legs on them.
The longevity of it, And the last time we got something like that was Boys, which was on Dynamite.
Yeah,
that went like 70 issues, and that was like one of those long. Like Preacher went for 77, I think.
I love Ex Machina, but I think the last great long form storytelling book was probably Wild Ass Man.
Wild Ass Man was phenomenal
because it was the last one that really felt like a Vertigo book. It felt like a Sandman. It felt like a Preacher, where it's just you knew this was important. You knew this was an incredible storyline. You knew this was plotted out from day one. and it was just magnificent and like
very well crafted.
And
Yeah.
I love Ex Machina like to death, and I think it may even have a stronger ending than that. But there's some type of disconnect from there.
Yeah. We need those indie books, man.
We need dudes. We need dudes. We need like you need like Scott Snyder doing a Vertigo book for friggin' 40 issues.
Yeah.
You need like the big guys that are out there who are cranking out superhero books.
Long form stories.
Yeah, just do your long form. Like, put something out there.
Yeah, because Saga's going to go
Indefinitely.
He's
got something else. He's got a new book out now, which is incredible too.
Awesome. What
Private Eye. It's the one with Marcus Martin, which is only online.
Okay.
Pay what you want. Check out Private Eye, guys.
$89.
You don't believe what I paid.
2 copies.
It's really good, man. Marcus Martin.
Before we wrap it up, we had a couple of more weird books to get to. New issue Iron Man.
Really good.
Do you think it holds canon with now that like this robot recorder had something to do with Tony Stark being born?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Or do you think it's just like kind of I feel like it's kind of a ruse on Tony Stark by the robot?
No, I think where this is all going is that the 451, which is awesome, and also named for a robot.
Yeah.
That he developed him to be like whatever deal he made with his father was he's gonna be the one to destroy the world.
Okay.
Because that's what I read an interview with Gillen. He was originally supposed to be Unit.
Okay.
And he just like ended up changing him, like they're just making 2 different robots.
Okay.
But I do think it's gonna be something very important when it comes to his upbringing.
Because it's really interesting in how like Tony Stark's dad is like the super spy in this issue. Like he has the origin and like he's contacting all the big societies in the Marvel universe and they can't help him. But this one weirdy robot that they busted out of a alien casino,
a great alien casino. He was part of the casino itself.
Right. See, if it goes like this with Iron Man, awesome. Those first few issues were just like for Gillen, they kind of floundered a little bit for me.
I read. He's really good. We both know he's really good. He basically said the storyline he wanted to start out with was this, like him going to space and him doing this stuff.
Yeah,
and it makes sense after the way that what's the last big storyline? The Phoenix, the X-Men versus Avengers. It was supposed to just lead right into this, but for whatever reason they forced him to basically put out these single issue things.
Yeah.
It's much tighter now. It's much better.
It's incredible now.
Dale Eaglesham is incredible.
Any book that guy's on knocks it out of the park.
Him and what's his name? Gleason are my 2 favorite underrated artists out there.
Yeah.
Eaglesham I could see him on any book. His stuff on JSA was absolutely delicious.
Yeah. It was delicious.
It's really like he makes absolutely delicious comic books.
Yeah.
Completely enjoyable.
It's Alred too, man, and FF is just it's such a great poppy book.
But like this is the thing that drives me crazy about it. It's so much better than the other book.
Than the regular FF.
I think the other book is
sad spaceship tour.
Yeah, it's very claustrophobic, and I know what you're going for and everything, but there's such and it's definitely the Allred part of it that's really adding to it. Like the regular FF book as opposed to Fantastic Four, FF is just so weird and quirky, and like I love the way he draws She-Hulk. I love the way he draws Scott.
Everybody.
Yeah, everyone just looks awesome. Like
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt is incredible. All the kids. It's just it's an incredible book. And I'm very happy that they've, after Hickman has left the book, they continued the tradition of the extended family.
Yeah.
Well, the extended family that, they could have just written that off into a background book. And they kept it going. It's a gorgeous book.
My one funny issue with this issue is like the last page is the Doom reveal, or he's like, you say they're gonna end Doom me. He has a drinking glass. He has a chalice, but he has like all that metal shit over.
But he's always
done
that. But he's always had that. I've always liked that. The dude used to always have a chalice and like sit in like a little wood throne. The guy's like made out of metal.
I really want Alred to draw like a close up of the face with like a little like a metal sippy straw just comes out of his mouth.
No, I want the grain to come up in his like tongue to like search for it. Find it.
And I think we're about out of time. That does it.
Did you watch Game of Thrones last week?
I did. It was awesome.
How about that Chop Chop?
Oh, thank you. Is that the Chop Chop for real?
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Oh, it gets worse, dude.
How do you go from there?
It's worse.
Oh no.
In the books, you never see any of this stuff happen. You just see the end result of all this torture.
Really?
So
okay.
Pretty bad.
So like he shows up at one point and just like completely scarred and mangled.
He didn't show up for if you were reading the second book when it first came out, you waited 12 years to see Theon again.
Jeez.
He wasn't in any of the books until the last one that just came out 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
So when like Winterfell got burned down, his character, the mystery character, hits him in the face, and then he disappears.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
That's good stuff.
Pretty insane, man.
Guys, don't miss the 9th episode.
That's this week?
No, 2 weeks from now.
Very cool.
And the rest of development next week. And the Liberace special next Saturday.
I can't wait to see that.
It looks fantastic.
It does.
I'm still pissed off it's going to take the place of Game of Thrones for a week.
Yeah, but, you're going to get...
Liberace.
You're getting Michael Douglas. And,
Joe looks really great in that. Rob Lowe.
David. Yeah.
Rob Lowe. Oh, insane. There's a plastic surgeon that can't see.
All right, guys. This has been Behind the Counter. I'm Rich Dambolian.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You know it.